everybody, it's me again. It was really good to see some of you in our Google Meets yesterday, and it was good to talk through some ideas. Most of you are doing a really great job staying on track and keeping up with this essay writing. And today's video is going to show you how we're going to take our ideas and move to getting close to actually writing an essay. So today's video is all about introductions and how to start them, and you're going to give it a shot. So watch the video, pause it, go back, rewind, send me a message if you need anything, and I can't wait to read what you write. You guys have been doing an amazing job so far, and I'm not just saying that, it's absolutely amazing. So keep it up, have fun thinking and writing, and I'll see you soon. Hey everyone, so we're back here to move on to the next part of our essay writing process. And this is where we stopped. We had an essay planner where your thesis was here, you had your body paragraphs, and you had some ideas that you're going through. Some of you guys stopped by the Zoom yesterday for help. Some of you submitted and are ready to move on to the next step, okay? So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. What's our next step and how does this look like? So we're going to be writing a lit essay, right? And you're going to be asked to do this throughout high school. Every single year, you're going to be reading novels, and then at the end of the unit, you will be asked to write a literary essay where you think about some of the elements that the writers used, whatever it is the teacher would like you to do. So I'm prepping you for high school by teaching you the elements of this, and we're going nice and slow so that you can internalize this process. And next year, when you're tasked with writing an essay, you can go back and look through this notebook of this is how you do it. This is how you get ideas. You have to do some work, and all of this work is going to make the final product so much easier. Some of you, I wrote that, your essay was almost going to write itself because you've done all this work already. So hopefully this will be something you can use next year. Okay, as you might know, a literary essay in high school is probably going to have an introduction. It's going to be followed by body paragraphs. And then it's going to have some sort of conclusion. Okay, you right now have planned for part of the introduction, because in your introduction comes your thesis statement. And your body paragraphs, I asked you to plan out 3. This paragraph will prove that, this paragraph will prove that, this paragraph will prove that too. We haven't talked about the conclusion yet, and I don't think you should think about a conclusion until you're done with all of this. Because a conclusion in an English essay is just like conclusions in a science experiment. You've got the idea that you're setting out to prove or think about, you do all the process of the scientific method, and then at the end you have your conclusion or your findings. Same process, same exact process that you're thinking through. Here's an idea that I have, this essay will prove that. Here's what I saw in the novel, and here's what I think now. Today's lesson is going to be about how to start with an introduction. Okay? And the introduction, I'm torn. Sometimes I would like students to write their introduction after they write their body paragraphs. But I think that if I ask you to do that today, it might confuse you a little bit. So we're going to start at the beginning with the introduction. So an introduction can really be anything you want it to be as far as your original thinking is concerned. How are you going to take your topic and bring it to your reader? You can't slap them in the face with it, although sometimes people need a good slap in the face. You have to ease your way into your idea, okay? So I think an introduction that's effective has 3 parts. Okay, and I'm not going to prescribe sentence length, like you must have 17 sentences or 42 words. No, none of that. But it should have 3 parts. It should have a general statement, and I'll show you examples of this. It should then move to what I call, and this is not a term that I think anyone else uses, but this is what helps me. I call it the bridge statement. and then, or statements. And then you should have your thesis towards the end. Okay, in high school, you're going to see a diagram like this of an upside down triangle, or they might even call it a funnel. And they might talk about exactly what I'm talking about with you. Let me move this into the sun a little bit better. Is that better? That's so much better. Where you have your general, and then you move down to a specific, right, with your thesis statement here. So whether you think of an introduction like this, or you use the way that I'm demonstrating how to do it, really doesn't matter. It's whatever you think about. Okay, so I want to show you how I go about creating my own thesis statement. Introduction for Mice and Men. And I'm demonstrating this so that when you go about doing this yourself, it will be clear. All right? Okay, so I'm going to use another page. And I'm trying to, the sun is moving with me, so I'm trying to move this down. Okay, so how am I going to start generally? Well, if you remember, I'm writing about the safe haven, okay, that Lenny and George, if you remember, if I flip back in my notebook, which is what makes notebooks so nice because you can really easily toggle through them. I'm writing about this idea of safe haven, right? This essay will prove that. So when I'm building my introduction, I want to have this idea in my mind, okay? My first sentence can't be George and Lenny are a safe haven for each other from the challenges of life. I want to be general about it. So I'm going to ask myself a question about everybody who ever lives, not just George and Lenny, but everybody. And I want to know, how do all people need a safe haven? Right? And if I'm thinking about that, well, like I think about my life, what keeps me safe and what do I need? Well, I definitely need my health. I definitely need my safety, right? I don't want to be under attack from my murder hornets. I need my family. I need love. I definitely need food. I definitely need shelter, right? And I know that there is like a hierarchy of needs where shelter, food, and water is like first, and then these things are the next step in that, but I don't want to go that crazy right here. Okay, so my first sentence in my introduction will have to do with the fact that all of us, no matter who we are, whether we are a princess, whether we are, I don't know, like this lonely English teacher recording videos on her deck in the quarantine, like we all need this stuff. Okay, we are human beings. So this kind of connects to our humanity. Okay, moving on. I want to get a little more specific to our book of Mice and Men. Specifically, the situation that I'm going to write about is that the people in Of Mice and Men needed safety, food, family, love, and shelter. Okay, so I'm going to write, why did people in this text need a safe haven? Okay, and if I think about this, the people in Of Mice and Men and the people in the 1930s needed a safe haven for different reasons than they need them today. And maybe not different reasons, but they were unique for this time, right? It was the 1930s, it was the Depression. Work was hard, work was scarce. Family was important at this time to support one another, okay? And so what I've done is I have my this general idea up here. I'm bridging it. I'm connecting the stuff that's happening more specifically with this stuff. And now I'm going to progress on to my thesis statement, okay? And my thesis statement is really answering what's the purpose of my essay. Okay, and as you guys know, I'm writing an essay. This essay will prove that Okay, and I'm going to erase this when I start to write, but this just helps me remember that I'm proving something. That, sorry, George and Lenny, I'm trying to write it without the shadow. George and Lenny, and you've seen this before, created a safe haven for one another as protection from the challenges of life. Okay, so this is a process. You don't necessarily have to write this out, but this is going to help you every single time you write an essay for English, pretty much for the rest of your life. Now, for high school, if you can internalize this process, this is how you do it. How does it connect to all of us? How about these people? And then, bam, the purpose of my essay here is to get specific about these two guys, and they created a safe haven for one another as protection from the challenges of life. Bam, nice and neat, okay? I'm going to stop this video, and then I'm going to come back and show you what this looks like when I put it all together. Okay, so if I'm going to write my intro as a paragraph, I'm going to think about the ideas I just talked about out on the other page. Sorry, trying to. So if I'm going to write my intro as a paragraph, I'm going to think about those ideas I just talked about and put them together. So I'm going to start. General, in order, I'm talking about people's lives to prosper, men and women, like I was saying before, they need basic necessities. Okay? So I'm not talking about George and Lenny yet. I'm not even talking about caring for each other, safe havens, but I'm just starting about like what makes people survive. I feel like I need another sentence here because I want to get into thriving. To truly thrive, one must first have health, security, love, family, and hopes and dreams. Whoops. Okay, so here's my general statements, and you know exactly where I got them from. I got them right from here, almost, like I almost went in that exact order. Now I need to make my bridge statement, and I need to connect this to Of Mice and Men, but I can't just slam in George and Lenny yet. I have to kind of ease my way. And maybe I'll write about the time period, THRUGHT, throughout, no, throughout the 1930s in America. I mean, it was, depression was going on other places too, but this novel is set in America, so I think it's important for me to put this little detail in, blocked off by commas here. These necessities were out of reach for many people. Okay, so general, starting to bridge, starting to connect to Of Mice and Men. And I feel like I need a little bit more. You know what? I think I actually want to connect this. We're out of reach for many as people, and I want to continue that thought, faced and economic depression, had limited education. Okay, and now you can tell I'm talking about George and Lenny. These guys did not have an education. They were in depression and they were searching for work, and it was really hard. And work was scarce. Okay, so you can see that the bridge statement gets more specific. You know that I'm talking about George and Lenny because you've read this novel, but my reader, even if they've never read it, they'll still be able to follow that, okay, I'm talking about all people in the world, and now I'm talking about the people in the 1930s in America, and now I'm just going to follow with my thesis statements already written out for me. But I'm going to add this part that's really important in a literary essay that you're going to need to do for this one and the ones you do in high school. You need to have the author's name and the title of the work. So, and remember, it's a novella, okay? In the novella of Mice and Men, okay, when you type it, it's going to be italicized, but when you handwrite it, you always underline the titles of novels and novellas. George and Lenny, I'm going to write by John Steinbeck. George and Lenny, and you've seen this before. Safe haven for one another. Can you see the light? The sun is just coming through. It's so pretty. Okay, safe haven for one another as protection from the challenges of life. Okay, so here's my introduction. This is just what I have so far. I'm always free to change it at another time, but I've done exactly what I've asked you guys to do. Here's my general. This is the bridge. And here's my thesis. And it's got the title. It's got the author's name. Sorry. Okay, and that in the novel stuff works well at the beginning of a sentence, but you can also put it at the end of the sentence, right? George and Lenny create a safe haven for one another's protection from the challenges of life in John Steinbeck's novella of Mice and Men. I sort of prefer it at the end, but you know, it doesn't really matter, but you just have to have those things in here, okay? But listen, my intro doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to get this long. Let me show you one more that I've written that I want to share with you. Okay, here's one. We all need support and love to make our lives meaningful. And maybe you've been taught that you're not allowed to use pronouns, but this universal we, it's acceptable in writing about literature. The we and the our, I would not use I would not use me, but we is acceptable. We all need support and love to make our lives meaningful. We surround ourselves with those we love for comfort in challenging times. That's my general. Without love, family, and dreams, we may fail to thrive, right? So here I'm getting more specific. It's my bridge. This is shorter, but it's okay. It's saying what I wanted to say. In John Steinbeck's novella of Mice and Men, George and Lenny create a safe haven as protection from the challenges of life. And here's my thesis again. Okay, so your job, this is different, but it's much shorter. It isn't as detailed as the other one with the 1930s, but I don't think one is really better than the other. It's all personal preference at this point. Okay. So your job is to do an introduction in your notebook and take a picture of it. You don't have to submit the work that you did that looks like this. Hold on if I get my handy demo notebook. Right, these questions I wrote for myself, that just was really helping me. You don't have to write that. I'm glad I did because it made it easier for me to jump right into my introduction. right? But that's up to you. The only thing I would like to see for sure is that you write an introduction with this general idea about all of us and the whole entire world. Then you try your bridge statement, and then you come in with your thesis statement, okay? So good luck. Next week, I'm gonna post how to write a body paragraph. I'll give you a sample, and I'm hoping that because we're going so slowly through this, I'm really giving you time to do some deep thinking. So the next time you do this type of assignment, it'll be nice and easy. All right, good luck. I can't wait to see what you guys have created, and I'll see you later.